Every day, the surprises keep coming where the FUD and the press and the mainstream press, they just are so wrong. What's remarkable to me is how the rating agencies, along with the banks, along with the financial press, they all gang up. They all work together. They all collude to discredit folks that they don't like and to lionize the people they do like. And just because El Salvador made Bitcoin legal tender, for some reason, well, I know the reason, obviously, the fiat money world was a big threat, and they gang up.
Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Talk Crypto. President Bukele announced this last Tuesday on Twitter that El Salvador fully repaid a maturing foreign bond debt of $800 million, despite all the FUD spread by the media that El Salvador's Bitcoin bet wasn't paying off, and that they were going to default. That might have come as a surprise to many people, but not to Max and Stacy, who have been talking about it for a while. In today's video, Max and Stacy expose the financial press, that together with rating agencies and bankers, create a misleading narrative to protect their interests and eliminate any threats to the financial system, such as Bitcoin. The problem is Bitcoin exposes these scams due to its truthful nature, and that's why every other coin that has tried to copy it eventually fails, and people who get involved in them get burned. Let's listen to Max and Stacy as they also cover the latest Gemini versus Genesis fight, and Stacy has a pretty strong opinion about the Winklevoss brothers, so make sure to stick around. But before we do, please consider subscribing to our channel, as we bring you daily content on the latest crypto news. And now, let's jump right into the video.
So, Stacy, this is the huge banner headlines screaming across the globe. El Salvador pays back $800 million maturing bond. President Nayib Bukele says the country was the first in the world to use Bitcoin's legal tender. El Salvador's $800 million bond issue set to mature on Tuesday has been repaid with interest. Finance Minister Alejandro Zelaya confirmed. Bukele noted that he's only been able to find one article from a Colombian newspaper that's published news of the repayment. Stacy, this is really just taking everybody by surprise who had no expectation for this to happen.
El Salvador was never going to default. They were always going to pay their debts. President Bukele said that over and over, and instead the international rating agencies downgraded them to CCC. So they're like junk rated, and they downgraded them based on the argument that they would default.
Talking to people here and professional people and political people, they mentioned that the FUD and the anti-Salvador press corps out there, they use the rating agencies are really an extension of this press, the corrupted press. This is really used as not to signify what the underlying strength of the asset is, because clearly they mispriced this asset by a huge mile. I mean, and they didn't even come close. But what's remarkable to me is how the rating agencies, along with the banks, along with the financial press, they all gang up. They all work together. They all collude to discredit folks that they don't like and to lionize the people they do like. And just because El Salvador made Bitcoin legal tender, for some reason, well, I know the reason, obviously, the fiat money world was a big threat, and they gang up.
El Salvador's economy could say quadruple this year, say quadruples in 2023. They could still post headlines, say imminent default, probable default. It gets picked up by or pushed by the algorithms that push the headlines, the trending topics, and then you'll see the buzz that they're going to default, and nobody examines it. They just see the trending topics. They try to create the reality through the machine that they control. They control the algorithm. They control the social credit scores. They control the money printing. They control all of the stuff that is happening, even against Elon Musk, who has now bought Twitter.
If you can control the buzz, which is controlling the media and controlling interest rates, controlling the perception, you can control prices. And if you can have the algorithmic, ability on your side, you can squeak out profits. That's where we're in the economy that we're in today, is that if you can control the buzz, you can control the profits, even regardless of what the underlying fundamentals are. The fundamentals were nowhere to be found, and now they seem to be reasserting themselves.
Well, this is part of that disintegration of what we've been reporting on since 2016. What's happened is the narrative structure has broken down because nobody trusts the ability to spread their FUD relies on enough of the population accepting it, or that if Reuters says it, or if Fitch rates this country's debt as junk and probable default, like, these guys are to be respected, right? They're the elite. They're economists trained at Harvard and Yale, and they're like the best. They run our country, and the largest economy in the world. Like, we should respect them. They've lost the narrative, right? Bitcoin came along. Bitcoiners never, like, did the money printer go brrr, that meme. The meme warfare.
I wanted to get into that.
Stepped
the meme
into
warfare.
it. Remember,
Yeah.
the moment that the breakdown began.
Yeah.
That all of this was exposed. The loss of control by the elite was that moment that Hillary Clinton introduced Pepe into the 2016 presidential election.
Keiser says countries have the power to dictate economic policy and the media controls the narrative structure to support it, but Bitcoin came along and disrupted the system. In the next segment, Max and Stacy unveil how Bitcoin rises above all the FUD and crypto scams that have been looting people of their money. They also comment on the Gemini case that filed for bankruptcy, leaving their users hanging to a $900 million debt. On his last interview, Mark Yusko also commented on this, and said they were the victims in this case, but Stacy has a very different opinion of the Winklevoss brothers. Let's hear what Max and Stacy have to say about that.
That's why Bitcoin was always going to be the only crypto that worked, right?
Yeah.
No crypto, none of the 25,000 cryptos. They're the equivalent of Hillary Clinton, right? They have nobody memes about them. There are no memes. All of their memes are just stolen from Bitcoiners. So all those shitcoiners, for example, like Tom Brady, right, who lost tens of millions of dollars. Okay, he's a great footballer and a good-looking guy, but he lost money on a shitcoin scam artist like SBF. But the thing is, like, he did the laser eyes, but he's not a Bitcoiner, right?
Yeah.
All these like shitcoiners, or people who think crypto is the same thing as Bitcoin, they started using laser eyes and things like that. All of the shitcoins are just copies
Cut and
of
paste.
Bitcoin, and then copies of the copy of Bitcoin, and further on down.
And the memes.
And the
the
memes.
culture.
Yeah.
And how everything that comes with it, they just cut and paste and copy it. And it has never worked, right? So 20,000, 22,000 copies have never succeeded. And Bitcoin is now emerging after, the halving downtrend that always happens. Looks like it's developing into this new bull market. And I see that the shitcoin market is kind of being left in the dust, which is going to happen at some point. That'll be really the story, is that we don't really have a total separation between Bitcoin and the shitcoin market.
Or Roger Ver, who was he still goes by the moniker of Bitcoin Jesus, because he was an early Bitcoiner. Well, I mean, again, he collapsed CoinFlex, right? That an exchange out of the UK, because he did not pay his debts, unlike President Bukele, who just paid the debts of El Salvador from a previous government, who, by the way, looted most of the money. He still paid back the debts because they were owed. There was a contract, an inferred contract, that they owed this money. They paid the 800 million. Roger Ver, on the other hand, left a collapse in exchange. I think he owed them something like 40 or 60 million dollars. Now it turns out Genesis, Barry Silbert's company out of New York, and remember, Roger Ver was associated with him with the whole big block thing. What Bitcoin revealed about those guys, well, they're all being wiped out because of who they are. What Bitcoin revealed long ago who they actually were. So he doesn't pay his debts, right? Because, well, he's that sort of guy, right? Like, he doesn't feel like he has an obligation to pay if he loses big time. Like the Winklevoss have many thousands of Bitcoin, 100,000 Bitcoin, and they're multi-billionaires, and same with Barry Silbert. And yet they leave their exchange users, who they went on television, the Winklevoss. By the way, you mentioned Dave Portnoy. Dave Portnoy bought Bitcoin because of them. They flew out there, but he also got them into one of their shitcoins. I forget which one, but nevertheless, like, they start fighting each other and like go bankrupt, instead of like, well, you owe your users $900 million. You're the ones that told them to get into this yield product. Like, just give them the $900 million. You have many billions of dollars. But nope, They're like fighting each other out.
Even the earliest guys, and Barry Silbert was very early, and Roger Ver is very early. But it doesn't mean that they got Bitcoin. It doesn't mean that they grokked Bitcoin, that they really understand it through and through.
They didn't deserve it. A lot of people just think, everything is just a way to earn some more fiat. So they don't care what the product is. It could be a Ford Mustang that they're, leveraging up and swapping between each other. They don't care what it is. So the people who get Bitcoin, you see them immediately. And it makes sense that the greatest leader of our generation would be a Bitcoiner, right? It's natural. It was so inevitable. Actually, you predicted it with Tur de Meester on our show in 2014.
Every day, the surprises keep coming where the FUD and the press and the mainstream press, they just are so wrong. And is there going to come a time when these outlets like the New York Times, et cetera, are going to say, you know what, we were just dead wrong about El Salvador for the last 5-6 years?
No, because the thing is that when plunder becomes a way of life for a group of men in a society, what happens over the course of time is that they create for themselves a legal system that justifies it and a moral system that glorifies it. So this is that legal and moral system. The media is part of that plunder system. So they're just bullying, and it's just the end days. And, they're bullied that has nothing better to do but go na, 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 na.
This was an example, looking back, of a society that was infected with a bad meme.
Yeah.
And they went crazy. And now it's a case study.
Yeah.
And so now, because of social media and the interconnectivity of all of our day-to-day affairs, and we're all focused on very similar things, these flash mobs and these group psychotic or group formation, psychotic group formation, these types of things are happening one on top of another. So it's like psychotic behavior within psychotic behavior, and it's very disorienting. And for the most part, and without Bitcoin, you think about it, without Bitcoin, we would have absolutely no anchor to reality whatsoever.
Bitcoin exposes the character of our monetary system and is an anchor to reality in these times of insanity. Eventually, there will be a total separation between Bitcoin and crypto, and those who get it won't get misled by the media or sucked into these crypto scams like Luna and FTX. What do you guys think of Max and Stacy's opinion on the Gemini case? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give us a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. This is Let's Talk Crypto, and we'll see you in the next video.